The Bitcoin price chart is not looking good because markets have the capacity of coming back down. Already this is weekend, so from this very area, market have a greater capacity of coming back down. Let's look into this deeply so that we know where price is going to move to on the price of Bitcoin. And if you look at Zcash right here, it is called that the market have been pumping all the way to the upside. If you switch back to the 1-day chart, it is covered that market have made significant gains in the last couple of weeks. And this is super important. Look at it right here. Market has been moving all the way upwards. So the question is, will this move be sustained, or we're going to see correction from this very area where the market is rejecting from right now to the downside, and then after this very move to the downside, continuation? And at what point will the market correct to before continuation to the downside? I'll be discussing all of these, including Pi, BNB right here in detail in this very video. So watch this video gradually all the way to the very end. The first thing here is the price of Bitcoin. Very importantly, because if the price of Bitcoin begin to shift ground to the downside for retracement or continuation of this very bearish move, market is going to definitely come back to the downside on almost 90% of crypto out there. So from this very point, what I'm expecting is for market to actually continuation all the way to the downside. So we see this very move, market come back down, we see retracement, come back down, retracement. So market should continue this move to the downside. That is what I am looking at right now. And I know that a lot of persons are expecting different things. I know people are expecting market to move upward, but for me, since this is weekend and market has already moved in a couple of hours ago from here all the way to this very point, we see rejection back down, market try to move upward, could not, then that means market have a greater capacity of coming back down first of all, and then move upward if we did not see a creation of a new lower than the previous low at this very point. So what you should expect is for market to come back down into this very area of important support. That is what I'm expecting. Market should come back down into this area, and in my opinion, I want to see the market move upward. Now, even though I see the market move upward, let's say for example, market begin to move upward in the next few hours and move upward, I will not take that move seriously. Okay, I will not take it seriously because this area is an important area of resistance on this price action right now, that even though we see the market move upward, okay, it will definitely have to correct, and then after that movement to the downside in form of a continuation, market is going to begin to move upward, in my opinion, especially if this very level of important support actually hold the market from not creating a new low compared to this very low right here. This is what you must have to pay attention to right now to be in the right direction of the market on the price of BTCUSDT for our chart. And if you switch back to the 1-day chart, people are actually expecting Bitcoin to go back down. And the reason is because October was supposed to be a bullish month. In fact, on average, October usually, on average, used to be a bullish month for crypto. But the last month, which is October that we just come from, market was bearish. Not even at neutral, market was bearish, which is what we don't want to expect in an October, okay? And this is very, very key. That is why people are not expecting market to dip back down into this very point of important support. So this very area is where people are now expecting market to move into before any sort of move on the price of Bitcoin to the upside. And I agree with that perfectly, okay? This very level of $102, this very area, this very trend line, and this very point, and this very point of $100,000. So the market have capability of coming back down. But one thing I want to see on this very 1-day chart price action is the market to break out of this level first. Once I see the market break out of this level first, then I'll be very certain 100% that the market, in my opinion, is going to move into this very area, and then we'll see possible consolidation before we move upward again for the next move to the upside. And this is my personal opinion on this very price action right now. So the most important thing to pay attention to on the price of BTC USDT 1-day chart is this very area. So for the markets to move into the $102K and $100K, market need to break here out of this very point with a bullish candle that close below this very price level right here of $107K. Then I'll be very sure 100% of the time, in my opinion, that the market is going to come back down into this very area before we can then see some consolidation within this area before the market will then move upward. This is my personal take on this very price action from what I am seeing using this price action data. This is very important because if market dump down, let's say for example market breakout here in the next coming days and market begin to come back down, of course a lot of altcoins are going to suffer heavily because Bitcoin is coming back to the downside. And if that is going to happen, then I want to change my strategy on Bitcoin as well and plan for the next move ahead. So this is what you have to keep close eye on the price of BTC USDT 1-day chart and also on the 4-hour chart from now moving forward. If you look at the price of ETH, for me, ETH have greater capacity of moving. I am on the 1-day chart. Look at it right here, ETH USDT. And if you look at this chart critically, it is covered that these have maintained this level of support for a very long time. Let me draw this out. This level of support have been respected for about 4 times now. We have the first time right here, we have the second time right here, we have the third time right here, and the fourth time right at this very point. What that means is that this level is very strong. Of course, it can be broken because all resistance and support in the market can be broken and should not be totally relied on. And once we have that conceptual concept about the market, then we can say that if the market break out on this level of important support, which is a possibility for me, then where will the market head into? And that boils down to what you are looking at on price action. So from previous data from this very price action, it is covered that market moved from this very area. From here, market move upward, and then we see this very correction to the downside, market move upward correction. So this very point is an important point for me on price action. That is why this now serve as my point of interest. If market break here, market should come into this very area right here. Okay, this very area, what that means is that very move to the downside will not be very aggressive for me. So I am expecting a breakout here. Market will just move into this very area between the 3,400 and this very area of 3,300. Within that very range, $3,400 per ETH and $3,300 per ETH. That is what I'm expecting. So a breakout here will make us move down a little bit, and then once we move down a little bit into this area, then consolidation right here and a little bit of push to the upside. That is what I am expecting in the next coming days and weeks on the price of ETH USDT 1-day chart. Very important. Pay attention to these guys to actually be in the right direction of the market. And if you have another perspective on the price of ETH and BTC, comment below in the comment section of this very video. Let's check it out together and see your opinion. And this is very important. And if you look at the 4 hours chart, it is covered that it's actually struggling to move upward based on the fact that market actually moved from here all the way to this very point, and right now we see this move, market come back down a little bit, not significant, but market move up again. What that means is market is losing momentum moving upward. Now here is my point of interest on this very price action to keep it very simple and straightforward. If you look at this very area, this is a very important area for me on this very price action right here. What that means is, even though I see the market move upward a little bit on the 4-hour chart, as you can see right here on ETH/USDT, market move upward, I will not take it seriously because I believe that the market is going to retrace back down, probably into this very area, before we can see the next move to the upside. And that is what I am expecting on the immediate short term, guys. So you need to pay attention to the fact that market moving upward is a possibility, but on the immediate short term, I am not expecting that crazy move upward. Of course, anything can happen in crypto, but what I am expecting is that even though the market move upward on the 4-hour chart, I am still expecting market to come back down, probably into this very area, before the next move to the upside, because this is the very closest recent support level on this very price action, and why this is very important. So this is what you must have to pay attention to right now on the price of ETH, 4-hour chart and the 1-day chart. And if you look at ZUSDT, that is Zcash, it is called that this coin have been pumping for several days, that is about 2 to 3 weeks and more. Look at it right here. Market is actually pumping to the upside, and if you look at this critically, it is covered that this pump have not ended, in my opinion. Look at it right here. Market begin to move crazily upward from this very area where we see this very breakout. It was an important breakout right at this very point. Of course, market was within this very point, so this very area was an important area that market have been respecting for some time. And then we saw this breakout with this very candle. After the breakout, market retest a little bit and then begin to make a huge pump all the way to the upside. Look at it, market pump upward. And if you calculate this very move, let me squeeze the chart a little bit so that we can calculate this to where the market is right now and know how many percent market has done all the way to the upside. If you make this to where the market is right now, it is covered that these have done 698%, 698%. See it right here, 690% all the way to the upside. This is about 7x. That means if you have put $100 into this, you could have made $600 on that very amount, at least to the upside on the price of this very coin. So what next for the market? This has happened already. So what next? That is what is very interesting right now. So if you look at this very area, it is covered that the market has moved also. So this very point, very importantly, market moved, retracement, very good. So market has moved also, in my opinion. So we should see retracement right here, because this is almost exact point where the market move using this very area to this very point. So this is the area also I am expecting market to retrace from. So from this very price level, following this technical data, from this very price level where the market is right now of $412 to this very area, okay, this very area of $480, this very point, market should begin to have correction to the downside. Very important. So from here, market should correct back down, and then this should serve as support for the market to move all the way to the upside. So let me be very clear about this very point right here. So I am expecting market to retrace from this very level right here, and this very point. And the point of interest that market is going to retrace into is this very area. This is a very important resistance, and we see a rejection from here as well. So this very area is an area of interest for me on this very price action. So perfectly, this is how I want to see the market correction. So market should correct. So even though I see the market begin to move upward, I will not bother, because for me, in my opinion, I am sure market is going to do what? Retrace, because market don't move parabolically forever. So market should retrace into this very area. This is a very good buy zone, although this will other need further check when price come into this area to further verify that market is going to from here begin to move all the way to the upside, as we've seen in the past in this very area and also in this very case. This is what you have to pay attention to if you want to catch the next move on Zcash. Very, very important, guys. And this is the 1 day chart. Of course, for this to play out, it can take weeks, 1 month or two for this to perfectly play out. That is for this correction to take place perfectly and move into this very area of interest before a continuation to the upside, which is very, very important, that I believe is going to happen in the next 1 to 2 months, in my opinion. So this is what you must have to keep your eye on. Pay attention to this very area for the market to retrace back down. The most important thing right now on this very price action is that market is going to retrace. No need of buying here. It's very bad that you buy here. You are buying at premium. Always buy at discount and sell at premium. So if you relax for market to come into this very area, that means you are buying at discount, and when the market move upward, you sell at premium for profit. Very, very important thing to pay attention to on this very price action. If you look at the price of BNB USDT 1 day chart right here, it is called that market is going to move back down, in my opinion, and that is what I've been looking at on this very area right here. So we have a very good point of interest which the market is actually respecting for now. This very point of support, this area of support, and this area of support. If the market failed to break out on this area of support, then that means market is going to move upward. But if we see a breakout, that means a bearish candle that close below this very area of 100 or $1,050, sorry, $1,050, market move down with a bearish candle, and that bearish candle come back down and close below this very area of $1,050 per BNB, then I'll be very sure that the market, in my opinion, is going to come into this very area. And this is super important if you are looking at trading BNB for the next move of BNB. Why? Because if you look at the price of BNB, it has a very clear move in the past few weeks and months. Look at it right here. We see this very first move right here, which is a very good investment strategy. From this very point, it moves upward, retrace, move upward, retrace, move upward, retrace, move upward, retrace, move upward. So I am expecting a good correction of all of this move. Okay, consider this as one impulsive leg and then good retracement to the downside before the next move again. So if you consider it from here to this point, it's going to give you about 50% retracement. Okay, considering where the market moved from at this very point, it's going to give you about 50% retracement. And once that is done into the 60% retracement, then I'll be very sure that the next move is going to come into play on this very price action. And that is why this is very, very important. So in my opinion, what I am looking at from this price action data standpoint is for the market to break out with a bearish candle. That means if we did not see the market break out on this very price area of $1,050, then market is going to move upward. A breakout here is going to send the market into this very point. However, I am closely monitoring this very price action very well to see if the market is going to break out here or is going to break out here. Because if you see what has happened in the past few days around this very area, price is actually revolving within these very two horizontal boundaries of support and resistance. And that is why we need to keep a close eye on these two areas of support and resistance and find out what market is going to do. Because if market break on either side, market is going to move down. If it break on this support and if it breaks on resistance, market is going to move upward. Very important. So what you do on BNB USDT 1 day chart is to wait for breakout. So relax yourself and wait for breakout on this very pair. Very important. And finally here on Pi USDT 1 day chart. Of course, Pi have become a pump and dump token. Miners are not really receiving good amount of reward. as expected from their mining, because the price is actually dumping all the way to the downside. If you look at the 1 week chart, it discovers something very, very crazy here. Is that, look at this very point. This is the lowest price right here from Bitget. Look at it, Bitget exchange, and this is the lowest price around this very area that we see this price at this very point on trading view. This is 0.013, and right now market is at 0.24, which means market have a greater possibility of coming back into this very area where this very price level is, and then begin to move upward most likely. But if you come to the 1 day chart, it discovers something very beautiful happening on this very price action. Is because of, after this very dump that we see in the market, not only on Pi, a lot of crypto out there actually dump all the way to the downside in October, and Pi is not an exception, although it's a pump and dump token. In my opinion, market dump as a result of this President Trump tariff on China, which has been resolved from here, and then still continue the dumping. Very crazy dump. Most coin did not dump again this month. Okay, but we see something very interesting here as well, is this very pump that happened in the last few days. So we are not going to pay deaf ears to this very dump. However, I am expecting market to come back down. Why? Because these are rejection candles. Rejection, rejection, and that was from where? From this area of important resistance where market dumped from in the past. So if market dumped from here in the past and market enter here and reject, what does it tell you? How can you interpret this kind of data? So how you interpret this kind of data is that, since the market reject from this very point, there is a high tendency, 70-80% chance for market to come back down, and that is what I'm expecting right now. So to what area will the market come back down into? I am now expecting market to come back down into this very area. Why this area? Because this area is a point of interest for me practically. Not only that, we have a resistance right at this very point before the market come back down a little bit. I'm talking about this very resistance, market come back down, move up, come back down, and then this move. So market should move into this very area and then move up again. That is what I am now expecting right now on the price of Pi from now moving forward. Very, very important, guys. Pay attention to this, especially if you're a pioneer and you are mining Pi. You may gain a little bit from your mining reward if you sell off when the market begin to move up after this very dump. What that means is, if you have Pi token, don't sell right now. Market is still going to come back down. Or if you want to sell right now, you sell, because market is going to come back down, in my opinion, and wait for market to move upward. Because I believe after this dump that is going to come in a little bit, market is going to pump afterward to the upside on the price of Pi USDT 1 day chart, as you can see right here. So these are the things you need to pay attention to right now to be in the right direction of the market. And if you come to coin market cap, it is covered that the global crypto market capitalization is just increasing insignificantly. Look at it right here, $3.7 trillion. And if you look at the greed index, gradually moving into mild fear zone, 33%. We want to see neutral or market coming to the greed area. The altcoin index have greatly been hit, and market have shifted into 32% over 100. I want to see this enter into 65 and 70 and 75 above. These are very important parameters to pay attention to right now, guys, to be in the right direction of the market. And this is very, very important for you, knowing that for me, market is going to still move upward on the price of Bitcoin, especially when all these I'm looking at on price action begin to fall in line. And if you've not joined our Telegram channel, please join our Telegram channel right here. It's very important for you to receive many more updates, on-chain data, and technical analysis. Join right now this very group. Link in the description of this video and in the comment. And if you've not subscribed, you gain value from this video, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification for more crypto videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.